Hello, winners, and welcome to Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Wil. So, have you ever thought about starting a side hustle or going in business for yourself? Or maybe you've thought about starting a business and being an entrepreneur, but thought of all the reasons why you can't do it or the timing's not right? Well, if so, get in store for this episode we have coming for you. And please make sure to subscribe, share, and follow Two for the Win. Share it with your friends, and want to give a big shout out to Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations for sponsoring today's episode. But really excited to cover today's topic, and we have a little teaser announcement towards the end. So please make sure you stay on to hear what that's coming up for the following week. But happy Monday, Nick.
Happy Monday, Wil. Hello, winners.
So this mindset, we've talked a lot. We're about, 55 episodes in or something like that. And a lot of our Monday mindsets have talked about leadership. And even though those concepts apply to whether they're an entrepreneur in a corporate environment, I think it's a good time for our listeners to learn a little bit more about us, because one of the things that I think are unique about us is we're both senior leaders in a Fortune 500 company. We both own businesses and have owned businesses in the past as entrepreneurs. And so we can offer a perspective to certainly first-time entrepreneurs or people who are aspiring to be first-time entrepreneurs. But anything in terms of maybe high-level context about entrepreneurship you'd like to share with our winners?
Of course. Thank you. I love this topic, by the way, because it's literally something I love to talk about a lot in general. But you mentioned something on the intro that I found fascinating. You mentioned if you are willing to eventually have a side business, but you have tons of reason why this is not the right time and things like that. I believe this is the number one reason why people are actually never starting. It's because it's so easy to find a million reasons why not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I will repeat what I said a few times the last few months since we started this podcast for Mindset Monday. If you don't believe you can do it, guess what? You cannot do it. It's very, very clear. You will always have reasons why to not start. It's never going to be the right timing. I can tell you that much. It's never going to be, we'll wait next month because this month it's so busy, with family or kids or whatever it is. Next month's arrived. This month, I don't feel like it's the best month because of XYZ, or, no, I need to probably, inject some money and I don't think it's the right month. I will wait February when the tax return. And it's gonna be always something in the way. It's vacation time. I need to prioritize that. It's always gonna be time for that. So the right time is today, and let's make sure that we are doing that. But the mindset is huge. If you don't prepare yourself for obstacles, challenges, you will be upset because you will have challenges. You will have things not going on the way that you thought.
Mm-hmm.
But if you prepare yourself to go through those steps, you will know it's there. So it's going to be, okay, it's fine. I was expecting things like that to happen. Maybe not that,
Mm-hmm.
but something like that. And then we can just move on and get to the next level. And that's why it's so important, I believe, when you get into entrepreneurship, to have someone who can hold you accountable, or even better, a mentor who can actually guide you, someone who has been through all those steps and can help you, not do the job for you, but can help you, guide you to get to whatever its next step for you. And little step instead of huge step. That's also something I have, but I have so much to say. I will stop.
I think we hit a nerve with Nick, and we got a button. So this should be a really fun episode. I think just to build upon what you said a little bit more before we get into one of our more fun segments is sometimes, you had mentioned obstacles, and those I think are easier to identify. What I've also found sometimes is loved ones, friends, family, whatever, who are offering support, but it's in a way that actually ends up being distracting. Or they enable and support the excuses of why not now and going forward. So I think there's a lot to that. And to your point, having consistency and commitment to just little progress, that's really all that's needed. Because if you try to do the big chunks, it's a little tougher. It's certainly possible, but you're going to have more of a chance of hitting an obstacle or getting a distraction. Whereas if you focus on the little bits of progress over time, they'll lead to exponential progress.
Yep, I totally agree with you.
All right, winner. So here you go. You got a little taste of it. You ready? We're going to jump in now to quotes and quits. So the first one is a Chinese proverb. I did not get this from a fortune cookie. This is actually a pretty well-known quote, but I think we both really like it. So the quote is, "The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now." Thoughts on that?
I think I kind of mentioned already, and I think it's right. I mean, you cannot look backwards. You know, when you're in the car, you have the rearview mirror. The rearview mirror is very, very small, but the windshield is huge. Why? Because it's more to see in front of you than in the back. So stop looking always at what you missed. And that's something I also heard a lot back in Europe, where I always believe the mindset is what's worse for me with people in Europe, because the taxes are so much higher over there, 50+% taxes in Belgium in any way. So people tend to not be willing to start their own business because it costs so much money. But I heard that all the time. When I was an entrepreneur and I was building teams and things like that, I kept hearing people saying like, "Oh, Nick, I'm too old for that." Or, "Oh, I just started my family. If you would have done that 5 years ago, 2 years ago, I would have done it. But now it's too late." It's never too late. And I truly say that with 100% of conviction. It's never too late. So look forward, start now, figure the step as you start instead of waiting to have everything in your hand. Like we always said in our business, like, 0.5 virgin.
Yeah.
It's never going to be perfect. Whatever you prepare yourself, or better you prepare yourself, it's not going to be perfect. So you will need to tweak as you go. So why wait to have something that feels better to start with? Start now and make mistakes, learn from it, and grow faster. And that's really my motto.
I totally agree. And again, take action now. It doesn't matter about the past. I really like that rearview mirror windshield analogy. That was good on that. All right. The next one is a quip, and it is, "Entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't." And that's from Will Rogers. So there you go. Good old Will Rogers. We've had him a couple times now.
Yeah, definitely.
So thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't do nothing, if you don't take risk, you cannot fail, but you will never succeed. And that's something that my second mentor in Belgium, Brussels, told me, and it stuck in my mind big time because it's true. Like, it's not like you're gonna fail if you don't act, but you're not gonna win either. And the goal, every entrepreneur who starts, they want two things. Usually, one is money, and number two is make a difference. And you can do both. You will do both if you do the right thing. And so that's why, like, if you work in your job, or great your job can be, it's never gonna give you the freedom that you can have by building your own thing with your blood, sweat, and tears, and the steps you did in order to achieve whatever you have at the end. It's the best reward you can possibly have, and the limitation are only yours, because you can always get more, impact more, or get more money, or whatever is your drive. You can always get more if it's your own business. You don't have to wait for anyone to tell you, okay, now you can do that. No, you do it because it's your own, whatever. So that's why I love this quote, because it's 100% the truth. Like, you can only get what you want, what you deserve to have, by doing what other people will never have the power to do, or the willingness to do, the drive to do.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think, I love the dream casting that you're doing about that aligns with the quote, but I would say even to our maybe a little bit more cynical winners, like if you've worked in a corporate environment, and sometimes it may differ with the small business or medium-sized business that's growing rapidly, but let's just say you're working for a company that has static growth, or maybe even they're not growing. When you get your annual review and you get your merit increase, what is it usually? Like a few percentage points?
Yeah, 1-2%.
And, I mean, something's better than nothing, but, except for when we had historical low rates of inflation, it's probably not even covering the inflation, right? So actually your earning power or your buying power is decreasing. And I think, and this is where I go, so we cover both ends of the spectrum. You have this dream casting and you could create something and really influence something so that you can unlock maybe some things that otherwise wouldn't unlock in terms of your lifestyle or experience or knowledge or all sorts of things. But even if you build something on the side, so I'm just going to use rough math just to make it easy. You got somebody who's making $100K a year. They get a 2-3% increase. It's $2,000 to $3,000. So great. You got to pay tax on that. You got to do other things. Now imagine if you created a side business where the first year you made $2,000 to $3,000. Mm-hmm. You actually have more earning power because with the business you have write-offs that you don't get as an employee.
Nope.
So that $2,000 to $3,000 actually probably help reduce your taxable income a little.
Uh-huh.
And so you're actually putting more in your pocket on that. Same thing, but different. And one's more advantage working within the rules of the game of our tax code. And the other one is, on the treadmill of life. And thank goodness we don't have 50% tax rates in the US, but they're not small either. So just another thing. So if you're not at the place where you're like, oh, that sounds great for so-and-so, but I couldn't do it. Could you make an extra $3,000 a year? Start something. And then who knows? You go something like that.
I love it.
Yeah.
What I love about what you said is I know some of our winners are just thinking, rolling their eyes as I would not work extra for $2-3,000 a year. Well, wrong. Why? Every single business on planet Earth start with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 earning.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one. Even the $1 billion business start with the first deal. And they usually, those $1 billion business, they start with minus a lot. Before they get profit. If they're profitable the first year, a lot of people are really, really, really blessed and happy about that. So it's a journey, it's not a marathon. And that's why $2,000-3,000, what more can you do with $2,000-3,000 a year?
Mm-hmm.
If you are on a payroll somewhere, $2,000-3,000 a year is a difference.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And it's the start of the journey, I'm not afraid to say with my travel agency, the first year, I barely made 5-figure my first full year.
Right.
Why? Because I was learning. I was doing the steps that a lot of people would not want to do because I was not getting paid a lot for my hourly wage. If I look at the 10,000-12,000 that I made the full year, it's less than $1,000 a month. While I was working a lot, like every weekend, I was putting like 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, sometimes 10 hours the weekend to learn all the classes, all the vendors training. I mean, doing all those steps.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's most months commission, and that's just it's a stepping stone. You need to do that. They're now building teams, and so the teams are bringing like business in, and it's a journey, like I said. But everybody start with the first deal, and not a lot of people are profitable after the first year neither. So whatever you do it with a vision, and that's why it's very important. We talk about it the last couple of episodes, like the vision is so important. Have a vision statement for yourself, how to get there. Like we mentioned, big bets, have a couple of big bets. What you try to achieve this year, it doesn't have to be a number. It can be just like, I want to learn about those 3 things.
Mhm.
I want to be an expert in this. Great. So that's part of the journey. But if you don't have that, how can you celebrate?
Right.
How can you celebrate? I was celebrating every time that a vendor training was over. What was a celebration? Sometimes you just go to the fridge and have a drink. You know? Sometimes he's calling you and just say, yeah, I just did that. And you say, good job, brother. Okay, well, move on.
Yeah.
That's the little step. It doesn't have to be like a trip around the world, because then you will definitely not be profitable.
No,
But
I would take a Nutella crate.
Exactly. That would be a perfect celebration.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, I hope that it resonates with some of you. And if some of you wonder, what should I be doing? Should I just do it?
Right.
Do it.
Yeah.
And that's super, super important. You need to start somewhere. And imagine, I'm pretty sure someone who is listening today have an idea or have a desire to actually start something.
Mm-hmm.
And you have that desire for years. You cannot go back in time and say, I should have started 5 years ago with my idea. Start today. Your idea is probably still good. And then see where it's going. So, I mean, that would be my advice.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, you haven't connected with this colleague, in a number of years, but we had a conversation with somebody yesterday, remember, in the office, and she's like, I want to start baking cheese bread.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah.
And again, to your point, like it's great to have grandiose visions, right? You shoot for the stars and you settle on the moon type of thing. But in all actuality, you don't have to worry about, will the world buy my product or service? You really just have to worry about, how do I get that first client?
Mm-hmm.
And then you go from that, how do you get the next one? And then how do you get the 10? And how do you get the 20? And to your point about just getting started, and again, just to kind of put a finer point on this comment, if you were happy if you got a 3% raise at your job and you went from 100K a year to 103K a year, and you started to build an additional revenue stream where you made another 3, like, how excited would you be if you got a 6% raise at your job?
Uh-huh.
A lot of people would be ecstatic. They'd be like, wow. Or 10%. They'd be like, wow. Well, you could do that for yourself and take advantage of the tax benefits from owning a business. And to your point, all of a sudden, who knows? Maybe it starts exponentially growing, and maybe year 2, it doubles or triples, or maybe year 3. Either way, better to have it than not. I think, when I reflect back on my journey of entrepreneurship, I started working at the age of 13 as a caddy. And I kind of did the traditional get part-time jobs and trade my time for an hourly wage until I was a senior in high school. And I had a business teacher who, he's like, who's all 18? And I raised my hand. And he's like, if you're 18 or older and you're interested in hearing about an opportunity, please see me after class. And he's like, but if you're not 18, don't do it. So everyone got up, and I was talking to some friends, and then I was kind of dragging a bit. And then I went over to him and I'm like, hey, has anyone talked to you yet? He's like, nope, you're the first. And I'm like, well, tell me more about it. He's like, come to my house this night, and where there's going to be a business presentation. And I'm like, sure, I'm in. And I showed up to his house, and he goes, make sure you dress nice. Now, I didn't have nice clothes. I didn't grow up with much money. We weren't church faring folks, so I didn't have a Sunday special suit or anything like that. So I went to Sears at the time, bought a nice pair of khaki pants, bought a dress shirt, but it was a short sleeve one, like the, kind of, no offense, but like the blue collar dress shirt, that with a clip on tie, because I didn't know how to tie a tie. And I showed up, and all these people around, they're on their 30s, 40s, 50s, most of them 40s, 50s. And he's like, hey, come out on the porch and watch the speaker's going to come drive up, and this guy comes, I shoot you not, comes driving up in a green Cadillac with like the fake tire on the back end, like the old school kind of like 30s type vehicle, and comes in, gray beard, big old hat, smoking a cigar, and my teacher goes, "Hey," I can't remember the guy's name anymore. I just first time I seen your car, you got green. He's like, "Yep, the color of money." And it comes on in, and he did a presentation, and that presentation was for Primerica, which if you're familiar with them, the original buy term, invest the difference type multi-level marketing or direct selling. And that was my exposure. And you know, they were looking at me like, I mean, I was at least 20 years younger than the next youngest person in that thing. And I look like a schlep, right? Like I'm trying the best, but you know, everyone else way more polished looking and everything. And he's like, youngin, he goes, "You really going to do this?" I said, "Sir, I'm going to give it my all. Going to do it." And he's like, "We never had an 18-year-old like do any of this." I'm like, "I'll be the first. You tell me, you help guide me, and I'll follow through." I did. I got my insurance license. I passed the series exams. Started making the list. Started going around and talking to people and all that stuff. But that was my first exposure. Was actually direct selling, which the most I was out now I was making, gosh, $6 an hour, maybe at that time as a kid, working part-time at Sears. So I even got the clothes at a discount because I couldn't afford to pay retail for them. And that's how I got started. It was a few $100. I could have spent that on beer. I could have spent it on girls. I could have spent that on any number of things, but I was like, no, I saved it up. I saved the lunch money. My parents used to give me like $1.50 a day for lunch money or something like that. So I could at least get a little something I didn't eat lunch, saved it up so I could pay for the exam. And that was my first foray into entrepreneurship.
Hey, sacrifices. Nothing comes easy. It's very similar as mine. My first experience in entrepreneurship was I was 25, so later than you, and it was also direct selling in MLM. None of us, I mean, both of us, we are out of this for a while now, but I do believe that it's a fantastic school for entrepreneurship and things like that. And I don't have kids, but if I had, I would have definitely encouraged them at 18, 19, 20 to start in any MLM, not as anything specific, just to learn, just to listen how they do things, to learn, to actually act on some of the things that they're teaching you. And, but okay, it's beside the point, but I totally agree. What's important to learn here is that you made the sacrifice to go, you listened, you did something I love, monkey see, monkey do. You didn't try to reinvent the wheel. And that's why it's important to have a mentor. If you have a mentor, someone you look up to, or someone who is at a place that you want to be, just ask questions. People love to share their secrets. People love to share their success stories. So you would be surprised the amount of people that you may not know very well, just see hi sir or hi ma'am and bye ma'am, bye sir. Those people, if you go and you say, listen, I look at what you are building. I think it's fantastic. I'm starting my journey of entrepreneurship. Would you be okay if I buy you a coffee or buy you lunch, whatever you can? I would be shocked if people actually flat out tell you no. Maybe they will tell you not now, like let's schedule a month, 2 months out because people are busy. But I would be shocked if the person say, no, I'm not interested. Because everybody loves people who have the entrepreneurship to actually dare to ask, and someone who actually suggests a meetup to talk about what steps they did. So if you have a mentor who's going to help you, you will still have problems, challenges, but you will probably avoid some of them by having a mentor on your side. But it's sacrifice. What we'll explain is that he actually had to buy something, so some little investment in order to be able to go. He'll listen, and he sacrificed some lunch money, some girls' money, and I know how hard it is for you to actually get to a point.
Back then it wasn't too hard.
Yeah. to get to where you are today, which is a very successful leader and business owner. So it means that if you didn't act at that time, maybe you would not be where you are today.
Oh, totally. Because that year, actually, it was actually a period of just a few months. I told the story in the past about Dale Carnegie. Well, that was actually the same teacher who recommended that book. And then he came up with this. And I think, you and I are both known, for people who know us well, as being inspirational leaders. Like, it's a compliment we get often. There's no doubt in my mind that that combination of experience, helped kind of elevate and solidify my mindset. Now, I'll share one other thing, because you're absolutely right about the mentor. At that time, I didn't really have a strong mentor. Like, how those programs are. Sometimes you get some shine, sometimes you don't. What really got me to a different level in my mindset were the other people my age who was trying to do the same thing. And they had a big conference in Cleveland. It's the only time I've ever been to Cleveland. Yeah, but we couldn't afford the hotel, because the hotel at that time, what they were charging, we just didn't have enough money. So it was a car of 5 of us. And we drove from Wisconsin, and we left at, I think it was like 6:00 at night. Drove the whole time to arrive at around 6 a.m. in Cleveland to go to a conference that started at 8:00, so we could avoid not having to pay the hotel fee. But going through those experiences and talking about our dreams and saying, hey, these are all the things we're going to do, and brainstorming stuff, like, that's the stuff I remember. I don't remember as much the policies I sold or anything like that. It was the camaraderie, and something we also touched on in the past. Like, you are this may be tough for some winners to hear, but you are a direct reflection of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I think when I was back at that time, compared to my typical friend group that I was hanging around in high school, that meant the world to me. And it actually caused me to outgrow my town. Because I think, like you, there was a certain mindset. And I'm like, no, I cannot do this. And that's what ended up leading me to Vegas, actually.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. And I think we can talk about it for multi-episodes. That I love this topic so much, but we are pretty much at the end. The only thing I want to leave you with is, whatever you do, something I hate in people saying like, oh, I have a little side gig, like, if you take the side gig as a hobby, it's going to cost you money.
Oh, yeah.
If you take it as a business, it's going to make you money eventually. And that's something that's very important to say. There is no get rich quick. I don't believe it exists. Like, someone can get lucky with an investment or something, but you cannot get rich quick when you build a business. So have a plan. Don't look at short amount of money coming in very fast, or you give up. Then don't start, because it's probably not going to happen. But if you are consistent in the steps to get where you want to be, you will get there. Some faster than others, but you will get there. So take it seriously. Don't take it like a little sidekick and see how it's going to go. It's only going to go the way you are putting the time and the work to get there.
100.
It's not going to get there by itself. And that's the problem with MLM. I think that's why there's such a bad reputation, is because people say, oh yeah, I will get in and I invite 2 people and I will see if I can get rich. Well, no, it's not going to happen. Yeah. And it's the same in business. If you think that you're going to talk to 2 people and the business will explode, well, good luck.
Yeah.
So take it seriously and things will happen.
That's right. And stay the course. And, we have a guest coming next week who was in the corporate environment, followed his dream, and now is running a highly successful entrepreneurship company. So make sure to tune in next week for that interview. You won't want to miss what our guest has to say. So thank you, winners. Hopefully you got a little bit of a little dash of inspiration and start thinking and then taking action on building a business and starting to make an impact in your community at whatever level it is, but just start. So that'll do it for today's Monday Mindset. Please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow 2 for the Win on your favorite platform. Tell your friends, share it. And also thanks again to Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations for sponsoring today's episode. We will see you next Monday for a fun interview. In the meantime, take care, winners.
Bye, winners.
Bye.